Labbaik Ya Hussain, we are with you Hussain. Inscribed chanted, a battle cry that invokes the 7th century battle of Karbala for a war that is being fought today in the northern districts of Iraq against ISIS, the brutal terrorist force that self-proclaimed an Islamic caliphate in June 2014. We're in Karbala, the heart of the Shia world and the heart of a mobilization to fight ISIS or Daesh. In the next hour, we look at the war in Iraq with a journey through the Shia towns of Najaf and Karbala. Day or night, the flow of pilgrims is endless to the spectacularly ornate shrine of Imam Hussain, the Prophet's grandson. Sunnis may hold Hussain in high esteem, but for the Shias, their faith revolves around the axis of Hussain and his story. It is here in Karbala that Hussain, his family, his companions, more than 70 of them were slaughtered by the forces of Yazid, a ruler of the Umayyad Caliphate.
और इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम की कुर्बानियाँ देखे हमें वो इंस्पायर मिलता है कि हम कुर्बानी हमारे लिए आसान चीज़ है, हम कुर्बानी दे सकते हैं, मुल्क को हाथ से नहीं दे सकते और यही हमें इस चीज़ से हमें ताकत मिलती है। इमाम हुसैन की कुर्बानियों से हमें ताकत मिलती है कि उन्होंने हर चीज़ उन्होंने कुर्बानी दी है इस्लाम के लिए, इंसानियत के लिए, जस्टिस के लिए दिए। तो हम भी तैयार हैं, किसी वक्त भी कोई भी कुर्बानी हो हम देते रहेंगे, मगर इस्लाम को और अपने मुल्क से अब दस्तबरदार नहीं होंगे।
We would hear this repeatedly. The battle of Hussain, his martyrdom, used to inspire a region at war against the ISIS, the Islamic State or Daesh.
يعني مختصر القول أقول لكم المعركة الآن الحاصلة هي معركة طف ثانية، معركة بين أحفاد وأبناء الإمام علي والإمام الحسين عليه السلام وبين أحفاد يزيد وبين أحفاد الوهابية، وهناك بطولات كبيرة لأبناء الحج الشعبي، ولدينا قصص ومآثر عن كيفية استشهادهم وهي كثيرة جدا. جميع الذين التحقوا بالحج الشعبي شعاراتهم هي شعارات الإمام الحسين، هيهات من الذلة. وأيضا لدينا نحن في الزيارة عبارة مهمة نقول يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. هذا اليوم هو تعبير أنه يا ليتنا كنا معكم في الطف، فهم يستمدون هذه العبارات وهذه المبادئ في المعركة ضد داعش.
Sayyid Saduddin is the director of the Imam Hussain Shrine, a shrine as religiously powerful as it is the political nerve center in Shia-dominated Iraq. We're here as part of a delegation of journalists on an invitation from the holy shrine of Imam Hussain. Their reason to call us spelt out at a press conference addressed by Sheikh Abdul Mehdi Karbalai, the head of the shrine and the representative of Ayatollah Sistani, Iraq's most influential Shia religious leader.
حتى الشعب الهندي وشعوب المنطقة يتفهمون أن الشعب العراقي يدفع الكثير من الدماء، إنما هو من أجل الحفاظ على السلم العالمي أيضا. في الوقت الحاضر الإعلام له دور كبير في توضيح الصورة وفي توضيح الموقف، ولكن بعض وسائل الإعلام المغرضة تصور الصراع في العراق بصورة أخرى، تحاول أن تصور الصراع بين شيعة وسنة، وليس الأمر كذلك، لأن الكثير من السنة أوذوا وقتلوا من قبل عصابات داعش، وتأثر بالمبادئ الإمام الحسين عليه السلام الكثير من الشعوب، ولعله على ما طرق سمعنا أن مهاتما غاندي أيضا تأثر بمبادئ الثورة الحسينية، وكثير من الشعوب الثائرة في أمريكا اللاتينية وفي آسيا وفي بلدان أوروبية كثير من المفكرين وكثير من قادة الثورات تأثروا بالإمام الحسين عليه السلام.
For the Shia-dominated Iraqi state, this is their deepest concern, that the world sees the war against the brutal Islamic State as a sectarian Shia-Sunni conflict, where global powers are aligning themselves, driven by their self-interest, but in the process jeopardizing the integrity of the Iraqi state. Iraq Shia-Sunni divide, though, has deep roots. Under Saddam Hussein, the Shias, more than 65% of the population, were persecuted. Among the most striking images after the fall of Saddam in 2004 was the sight of Shias across Iraq walking towards Karbala, to their most holy shrine, in a pilgrimage that had been denied to them for years. After Saddam, from 2005 onwards, Shia-dominated governments have been accused of alienating the Sunni minority. Part of the reason the Islamic State got its ground support in Sunni-dominated areas of the north.
The Iraqi army was damaged under Saddam's regime. Saddam has damaged the Iraqi army, the moral, the character, the construction. Saddam has damaged the country under 30 years of war. That's why the Iraqi has no condition to fight against ISIS. And when the Imam Ali Sistani made this fatwa, the new generation, they follow him. Because he said that the Sistani said, ISIS is enemy of the world, enemy against every human being.
The Shias now admit that some mistakes were made, but attribute a greater part of the Sunni grievance to ISIS propaganda.
صراحة داعش عندما دخل إلى المحافظات السنية دخل لأساس واحد ألا وهو العبث ما بين الطوائف، على أن يخلق بأن هناك سني وهناك شيعي، ولكن بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى كون العراقيين هذا صفة قديمة ليست الآن. عندما يتعرض البلد الواحد إلى مؤامرة كبيرة تجد بأن طوائف المجتمع والشعب العراقي تتوحد جميعها على الخلاص من هذا العدو الغاشم. فهذا السبب الذي دعانا، والشيء الآخر الذي عزز الموقف والذي أتحمل هذا الكلام مسؤوليته أمام الله، الذي استطاع أن يزيد من هذه الرابطة والعصرة، الفتوى الشريفة للسيد السيستاني دام ظله، عندما شاهدنا بأن ابن الجنوب يقاتل في محافظة الأنبار ويضحي ويستشهد ويترك زوجته وأطفاله من أجل أن يخلص الأنبار من داعش المجرم، أصبح علينا إلزاما بأن ينقضي على خيوط الطائفية.
Sheikh Mohammed Miklif is a Sunni commander of a brigade called Al-Bushban, currently fighting the ISIS in Anbar province. His brigade is part of the massive Hashd al-Shabi force, or the People's Mobilization, a 2 lakh strong volunteer force that is not an official part of the Iraqi army but fights along with it. The Hashd arose in 2014 after Iraq's supreme religious cleric Ayatollah Sistani gave a fatwa calling on every able-bodied man to perform his duty by going to the battlefronts. Miklif is joined by 2 other commanders at the headquarters of the Hashd in Najaf. One is a Shia, the other an assistant to a Christian commander, Al-Nuri. An interaction that aimed to project a more expanded image of the Hashd from a Shia force to a more pan-Iraqi one. Yet most of the Hashd fighting forces continue to be Shia, and it is here in the Shia towns of Najaf and Karbala that the resonance of this mobilization can be most dramatically seen and felt. Najaf is the capital of Shia theology and revered for this, the spectacular mosque of Imam Ali. For Shias, a journey to this shrine is as central as one to Mecca. Near the shrine, shops that have recently sprung up selling combat wear for the young ready to join any one of Hashad's volunteer brigades.
Name?
Name Hashd.
On the other side of the shrine, the old Najaf market.
The old market of Najaf, which is almost 100 years old, right next to the shrine of Hazrat Ali. An exciting old market, peaceful and tranquil at first glance, but constantly. The war on the fronts is present here in every way possible. It's a common sight at every shrine. Outside the mausoleum of Ali, another volunteer force of Hashad makes its way.
Spotted in this brigade, the same young man who had only minutes ago purchased his army gear and is off to the war, determined to fight till ISIS is destroyed. From Najaf to Karbala, for that matter anywhere in Iraq, visible across the landscape intense imagery of war and sacrifice that acts to inspire young men to go to war. And if they are to die fighting, their families console themselves with images of them as martyrs to the cause of Hussain. Images of the dead, some as young as 18, stretch across kilometers on end. In Karbala, this is the base of the Al-Abbas Brigade, also part of the Hashad, named after Abbas ibn Ali, Imam Hussein's brother, a revered warrior who was the flag bearer for Hussain in the Battle of Karbala. The base's camp-like architecture is a recurring motif in many of the new constructions in this region. It's meant to recall the original camp that Imam Hussain and his followers set up in Karbala. This is the site of that historical camp, the Khemgah.
इसको खेमगाह बोलते हैं, खेमगाह। यहाँ पे अरबी में कहते हैं अल-मुखय्यम। यहाँ पे जहाँ इमाम हुसैन ठहरे थे और इनके अहले बैत, बीवी, बच्चे और इनके साथियों के बच्चे, बीवी वहाँ सब यहाँ पे ठहरे हुए थे। यहाँ पे वो पहरा दे देते थे कोई दुश्मन अंदर ना आए। दूसरे जो लेडीज हैं जो है वहाँ पे अंदर है वो, ताकि वो बिल्कुल प्राइवेटली अपने सुकून से रहें।
Every bit of the space is revered as pilgrims pray and remember the martyrdom of Hussain.
इस जगह पे मतलब हज़रत अब्बास ने नमाज पढ़ी, हम लोग पढ़ते हैं, सवाब में पढ़ते हैं, उनको याद करके पढ़ते हैं किस तरह मुश्किल वक्त में पढ़ी।
The parallels are drawn constantly between the ancient battle of Karbala and the modern war against Daesh, a narrative that helps mobilize a people to arms but ties the rhetoric of war to a Shia narrative. Back at the Abbas base camp, a group of newly trained volunteers, young and old, wait to be sent to war.
في فرقة العباس لبينا المرجعية فتوى المرجعية طلعنا أنا من النجر عمري 20 سنة.
When he decided to become a fighter, was his family, mother and sister scared because Daesh is supposed to be very cruel?
كيس هم شجعونا على هاي القضية واحنا يعني اخوان ثلاثة وعمامي يعني طلعنا منطقة واحدة يعني منطقتنا كلها طلعت. أول بداية سلاح من عندنا يعني طلعنا سلاحنا من عندنا يعني من عشيرتنا يعني شبير بالعمر شوي قناص.
He lost one of his friend's snipers. He killed a lot of people, a lot of Daesh.
اسمي ياسر حسين عوج.
Where is he from?
من الناصرية. داء المرجعية يعني وحماية الوطن. طالعين الدفاع عن الوطن وداء المرجعية ما يخافون عليه هذا الشيء.
تركنا أعمالنا لأجل تلبية النداء ومقاومة هذا الفكر الضال وسنقاتل أما النصر وأما الشهادة. وأنا أتمتع بصحة جيدة وعمري 63 عام والحمد لله.
The Abbas Brigade was set up by the Al Abbas Mosque located next to Imam Hussain Shrine and part of Karbala's sacred geography. Each shrine has its own force to both fight against ISIS and also to protect this massive opulent shrine complex, which has seen several serious attacks in the past by Sunni fundamentalists.
ولكن الإمكانية والمتطوعين أكثر بكثير، بس ماكو موافقة يروحون، لأنه أكو سقف حد أعلى لهذا الفوج 3400 أي، ولكن هذا العدد المسموح به، ولكن متطوعين كثيرين جدا.
और क्या श्राइन उनके परिवार मतलब श्राइन उनके लिए पूरा पैसा देगा सब चीजों के लिए؟
العتبة تساعد بمبالغ كبيرة بنسبة كبيرة من الموارد المالية، يعني كما تعلمون الكثير الآن من الموجودين بالحشد الشعبي الحكومة لا تصرف لهم رواتب شهرية. بالنسبة للواء علي الأكبر له، بالنسبة للعتبة الحسيني لها دور كبير في تمويل لواء علي الأكبر.
The power of the Hussaini shrine extends from the religious, military to the political. It acts as the axis of the Iraqi state, owns lands and companies which work on massive infrastructure projects, like one to build an airport complex near Karbala.
In Karbala, and not only in Karbala, other cities in Iraq. Now we have under construction housing project for about 1,000 houses. We have now under construction also 5 hospitals. Okay, one of the biggest hospital, the cancer hospital in Iraq, this Imam Hussain Center, Cancer Center. Also we have cardiac and heart hospital.
The Al Safir Hospital, built 2 years ago, is another shrine institution where currently some of those wounded in the war are being treated for free. Like Adil Fauzi Jasim, who was injured fighting the ISIS and is now paralyzed waist down.
After he's got injured and suffering, does he want to keep his family away, keep his friends away from ISIS? Is he scared?
شجعهم احتياج يساعدون جبهات القتال وأنا إن شاء الله أطيب وهم رجعت جبهات القتال.
Off camera, Fauzi speaks to us far more candidly of the complex geopolitics involved, of his distrust for superpowers like the US or Saudi Arabia, who profess to be allies in Iraq's war against the Islamic State.
إن شاء الله انتصر عليهم وانتصاراتنا مبينة موجودة.
Repeatedly, shrine officials, commanders and local journalists would point out that the Hashd volunteer force was being misrepresented as an independent Shia militia, while in effect it was a non-sectarian movement fighting with the Iraqi army. But they would also tell us that the main reason the tide was turning against the ISIS was because of this people's mobilization. Iraq, war-torn, dangerous, in the headlines for the brutal violence unleashed by ISIS. And yet in the past 2 years, the Shia pilgrimage to Karbala and Najaf has only increased in numbers. Million people visited the shrines of Hussain and Ali in 2015, a large number from India and Pakistan. Just over a kilometer from the main shrine of Imam Hussain, Faiz-e-Hussaini, where the Bohri Shias from India and Pakistan stay during their pilgrimage. A minority within the Shias, the Bohris are a tight-knit community. Their leader, the Sayyidna, also stays here when he comes to Karbala.
ये हरम अब्बासिया और हरम हुसैनिया के बिल्कुल करीबी एरिया है। फैज़ हुसैनी करबला में जो शार अब्बास के ऊपर अपन यहाँ है सर।
यहाँ पर हर साल हर महीने जो भी अंदाजन आपके पास आंकड़े हों, कितने लोग आते हैं?
तकरीबन ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड ईयरली 25,000 to 30,000 बोहरा यहाँ पर इराक आते हैं। फैज़ हुसैनी बोहरा समाज का जो ये है, सैयद मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन आका के हस्तक, उसमें यहाँ के रहते हैं।
आप कहाँ के हैं?
एक्चुअली मैं इवेंचुअली इंदौर इंडिया से हूँ, पर यहाँ 7 to 8 years वर्किंग विद इन द गाइडेंस ऑफ सैयद मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन।
मैं पूछ रही थी कि यहाँ पर जो इराक के हालात रहे हैं, उससे लोग डरे नहीं हैं, कोई घबराहट नहीं होती आने में?
कोई भी डर नहीं है, सब यही समझ के, ये खासतन बोहरा और जो भी शिया है, ये हरम से बहुत ही पास है, ये एरिया बहुत ही करीब है अब्बास अलमदार और इमाम हुसैन से, तो कोई भी थ्रेट, कोई भी डर यहाँ नहीं है, सब तमक्कुन और सुकून से यहाँ रहते हैं।
आप कहाँ से आई हैं?
I've come from Bombay.
And you've come for pilgrimage or?
No, my husband is in Khidmat here at of Zairin. So for him I have come here. We get residence and everything, and we are very comfortable.
You don't feel scared coming to Iraq?
No. People are happy. They come, they prayed, they bow to Imam Hussain and all, and they are back to their place, and they all are very comfortable.
And the fact that there is a war going on, Daesh fighting...
No, nothing. Nothing is there. No fear is there, nothing. The only concept is that we are going for Imam Hussain Ziyarat. And they are all satisfied and they go very happily. Haram Sharif is very near to the Faiz Hussaini and all. So they all are very comfortable and all the facilities are given by to Muminin.
आप कह रहे थे कि कहीं भी कुछ भी हो सकता है और यहाँ पे कोई डर क्यों नहीं है?
No.
डर क्यों नहीं?
Because the only concept I said, no, कि Imam Hussain Ziyarat is the only concept. And he is great and he is nothing going to happen to them. He will look after them. They come leaving their children behind, everything behind. They leave and come. But they are not afraid.
आप लोग कहाँ से आए?
कहाँ से आए?
मैं गुजरात गोधरा से आई हूँ।
Nobody is scared, किसी को डर नहीं लगता?
कुछ भी नहीं, बहुत अच्छा है, कोई तकलीफ नहीं है।
यहाँ कोई कैसा डर, हमको कोई डर नहीं लगता इधर।
लोग यहाँ पर इस वक्त कैसे आप लोग बॉम्बे पूना से आते हैं? कोई क्योंकि
जनरली वी आर कमिंग फ्रॉम इराकी एयरवेज, एयर अरेबिया, फ्लाई दुबई, कतर एयरवेज, फ्रॉम एयरपोर्ट, नजफ एयरपोर्ट। वी एवेंचुअली यूज नजफ एयरपोर्ट और ईरान बॉर्डर्स। पर आप इंडिया से है तो हम रिक्वेस्ट करें एयर इंडिया जो यहाँ फ्लाइट शुरू करे तो बहुत ईजी हो जाएगा पैसेंजर्स के लिए, जुवार के लिए, इमाम हुसैन के यहाँ करबला आने के लिए बहुत ईजी होगा।
Calm conversations and points of normalcy punctured constantly by reminders of a war where the battlefront may be some distance away, but the heart of its mobilization is here, around the shrine, where every day or night moments like this bring pilgrims to a standstill. What you've just witnessed is an almost daily occurrence here. The bodies of fighters at the front are brought here in a morning procession to post the shrines of Hazrat Abbas and Imam Hussain before they go for a burial. This is an almost daily occurrence, sometimes even more than once a day. اسمع
آسيا خدك كلمة دعاء بالفقار.
Barbed wires and the familiar sights and stories of an internally displaced camp. These are refugees from lands occupied by the ISIS, those who have lost their homes and family members.
نريد أن نوجه كلمة للعالم، نقول نحن شعب يمرض ولكن لا يموت، نستمد قوتنا من قوة الإمام الحسين. احنا شعب حضارة، مو غير شعب حضارة وتقدم ورقي، واحنا نبقى نقاتل من أجل هذه ذرة التراب، نقاتل 100 سنة من أجل ذرة التراب ما يمسها أي شيء. كيفك نرجس إمام عباس Imam Hussain.
At XX's home, on the wall, pictures of Ali and Imam Hussain. In the center, Muqtada Sadr, a famous Shia cleric who in June 2003 created the Mehdi Army, a Shia militia that took on the Americans. Officially, the Mehdi Army was disbanded in 2007. Today, Shia authorities object to the Hashd being called a militia or be seen in continuum with the Mehdi Army. But the legacy of a people's mobilization to arm has clear, deep roots in this region. This internally displaced camp is another project supported by the Imam Hussain Shrine. Their officials take us to Kurdish, Sunni and Christian families to point out that the ISIS terror is felt not just by Shias but by all Iraqis.
We're here and we're just doing something on Karbala, the city. The sense that we have and everybody does have outside is that Iraq is completely disturbed. Living here, what do you have? What's the experience for the Iraqi? Things are difficult?
As a matter of fact, to some extent things were complicated back in time. But now and after the what we call the popular mobilization forces here in Iraq, they could offer something for our people here, and they could move the situation from the zone of danger into the zone of safety. And now, alhamdulillah, we are living in a time of peace. It's all due to Imam Hussain and Ahlul Bayt and their support for us people here, and the faith that we deep have inside of us. We could really succeed in moving ourselves from where we were the period of Saddam Hussein, then after the period of Saddam Hussein, up to now. We truly have ISIS in some parts of Iraq, but here in the areas where Shia people are and some of the areas where Sunnis are, alhamdulillah, we Shia could successfully prevent ISIS and we could defeat ISIS.
When Pakistani people came to join the volunteer forces to fight ISIS, would young men who are educated or of more upper classes also go, or were most of the people who are fighting at the front from the more lower classes?
No, to be perfectly honest with you, all people from their different backgrounds did, join this call. They did respond to the call of Sistani. So it was not limited to a specific level of people, to a specific, to the youth only, or to the poor people, or to the living class of poor class people. There was a call for all people here, and all people, even doctors, did join this call.
Would you ever go if you had to?
As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. My father just passed six months ago, and I'm the only. Thank you very much, Ian. I'm the only breadwinner of my family. Otherwise, I would join them. Hopefully, sacrificing whatever I had. I'm supporting those people in a different way. But physically, it's my dream to die on that way. It's the call of God, if I may. So I would really be honored to die on that way.
Every interaction